Affect anybody else's order. It doesn't affect anybody else who needs to pay. Stop talking and let me finish. It doesn't affect anybody else's order. You're still paying attention to the same exact person for the end of your side. The only thing different is she's going to squeeze in between you two. You guys are still going to the same side. Okay? Nothing else changes for anybody else except there's one extra person stuck between you two. Okay? All right.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, to the Yesterday Show. Before we begin, we're going to open up with a word of prayer. We're going to ask Pastor Eshelman to come up. Thank you.
Let's pray. Eternal God and our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for our Savior, for forgiveness of sins and sonship through Him. We thank Thee for the glorious hope that we have in Christ. And we thank You for our students. We thank You for our children. What a gift they are to us, our most prized possessions. We thank You for the school that You have preserved so that they can be trained. And we ask now that this program would be honoring to Thee. Help each of the students, help them with their nerves and their memory. And we pray that all would redound to the honor of our worthy Savior. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Yesterday Show. Thank you all so much for coming and for your continued support of our students. Today, our third graders are excited to take you on a special walk through history. Over the past weeks, they have worked so hard practicing their lines, learning about important figures, and bringing history to life in their own unique ways. We are so proud of how diligently they've prepared to portray their characters today and share what they've learned. We would ask that you hold your applause until the end of the show, as we have many historical figures with us today. We would welcome, however, a thunderous applause at the close of our show. Thank you. Now, without further ado, please enjoy our students as they take you on their journey through history. We first welcome to our show Miss Lillian Smith. Welcome, Ms. Smith. When did you know you had a talent for sharpshooting?
By the time I was 10, I was traveling up and down California competing and breaking records at gun clubs.
That is impressive. When did you join Buffalo Bill's Wild West show?
In 1886, I joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show at the age of 15. In 1889, I left and joined Mexican Joe's Wild West show.
Very good. And what were you most famous for?
I was most famous for shooting glass balls like this. With a mirror too, also aimless.
Wow. Incredible skill. Who was your rival?
My greatest rival was Annie Oakley. I competed against her the most during Buffalo Bills.
Thank you. Now we have a deeper appreciation for the discipline and perseverance it takes to reach that level of excellence. Now we welcome to our show, Davy Crockett. Tell us a little bit about your family.
My parents were John and Rebecca Crockett. They had 9 children, including me, and my father owned a tavern.
And how did you become a sharpshooter?
When I was 10, my father taught me how to shoot a rifle. I was responsible for hunting for food for our family. Bullets were expensive, so I had to make every shot count.
That must have really required courage and hard work. Tell me about your career.
I was Justice of the Peace and Town Commissioner of Shoal Creek, Tennessee, Colonel of the 57th Militia, and a member of the Tennessee House of Representatives.
Excellent. What took you to Texas?
American settlers wanted Texas to be free from Mexico. In 1836, 189 of us went to the Alamo to fight against Santa Anna and his army. We all lost our lives, but our deaths were not in vain. On December 28th, 1845, Texas became the 28th state in the United States.
Very good. Thank you for taking a stand for what you believed in and fighting for freedom with bravery and determination. Thanks for being with us today.
All right, next we'd like to welcome Miss Sally Ride. Miss Sally, can you tell us, was it hard to become an astronaut?
Yes, I had to do years of training, study scientific subjects, learn how to give first aid, and stay in good shape.
Wow, that is impressive. And what was it like being in the space shuttle for 6 whole days?
I had to learn how to eat, use the bathroom, and sleep without gravity. I got to use the robotic arm.
Wow, I can't imagine how much work that was. How many times did you go into space?
I went into space 2 times. My first flight was in June 1983, and my second flight was in October 1984.
Wow, what were some of your hobbies before you became an astronaut?
I loved reading and playing outdoors, but I mostly loved tennis. I was the 18th best female tennis player in the world.
What amazing dedication. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And next, we'd like to welcome to the stage Mr. George Washington Carver. Mr. Carver, can you tell me what you're most famous for?
I am most famous for studying peanuts. I am also famous for inventing over 300 things out of them. Some of those things were peanut lotion, peanut paint, and peanut marshmallows.
Wow, that is just amazing. How many siblings did you have, and what were their names?
I had one sibling, and his name was James Carver, and he was older than me.
And can you tell me where you went to school and what your major was?
I went to Tuskegee Institute, and my major was horticulture and botany.
That's incredible. And did you have a nickname?
Yes, my nickname was the plant doctor because if a plant was sick or not growing, I knew how to fix it.
Wow, thank you for joining us today and for all your amazing contributions. Next, we'll welcome Betsy Ross. Miss Betsy Ross, can you tell us when and where you were born?
I was born on January 1st, 1752 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And what did you like to do as a young girl?
I love sewing. My great aunt Sarah Elizabeth taught me how.
That is just wonderful. And what did you do in 1776 that made you famous?
I met with George Washington and 2 other men to help design the new flag of the American colonies.
How exciting! And exactly what changes did you make to the flag design?
I arranged the stars into a circle and a blue square, and I made them 5-pointed stars instead of 6-pointed stars because they were easier to make.
Wonderful, and thank you so much for sharing that with us and for being here today.
Now we welcome to the show Miss Ruth Law. How did you become interested in flying?
I became interested in flying from my brother Rodman. He learned how to parachute jump, and he did some crazy stunts, like first, jumping out of airplanes, and second, jumping off the Statue of Liberty.
Whoa, that's quite adventurous. How did you learn how to fly?
I took some flight lessons. Flying back then was very dangerous. At my first flight lesson, I watched as the first licensed female pilot sadly crashed and died.
Oh my goodness, that's tragic. I'm so sorry to hear that. What was the highlight of your flying career?
I wanted to show the world that long-distance flight was a useful way to travel, so I set out to do something no one had ever tried to do before, and that is fly from Chicago to New York City in one day. It was a very difficult and cold journey in my little open cockpit biplane. I didn't quite make it in one day because it got dark and I couldn't see my map, but I did set the new record for nonstop flight distance.
Wow, that's amazing. What bravery and determination. How did you overcome the challenges to make this long flight happen?
There were certainly many challenges along the way, but I always found a way to push through. When Orville Wright refused to give me flight lessons because I was a woman, I found someone else. When Glenn Curtis refused to sell me the larger plane for my trip, I modified my little biplane by adding 3 extra gas tanks. As I always say, the surest way to make me do a thing is to say I can't do it.
We love your can-do attitude and perseverance to encourage and lead women. Thank you. We now welcome to our show Meriwether Lewis. Mr. Lewis, what was it like to be asked to lead this expedition into the West?
The land west of Mississippi was a vast, uncharted wilderness. I had to plan ahead to have all the proper supplies and skills to survive this harsh journey with an unknown amount of time.
And what did Thomas Jefferson ask you to do on this journey?
First, he wanted us to
record information about natural resources and animals. Second, we would gather information about Indian tribes, make positive connections too. Third, we would try to find easier paths across the continent.
Excellent, I see. How did the Shoshone Indians help the expedition?
The Shoshone Indians traded with us to give us 29 horses and helped guide us over the Bitterroot Mountains. We nearly starved to death.
My, how challenging this journey must have been. Did you make it to the Pacific Ocean, and how long did the trip take?
Yes, we made it to the Pacific Ocean. It was 2.5 years to get to the Pacific Ocean and back to St. Louis. We traveled a total of 8,000 miles.
Wow, thank you for your contribution and leadership in expanding the West. We now welcome to our show Mr. C.S. Lewis.
Hello.
Mr. Lewis, what was the first thing you ever published?
Well, I published The Spirits of Bondage, a Cycle of Lyrics. It's a series of poems I wrote during the war.
Very good. What are 2 things you did outside of being an author?
I took care of children during World War II, and one of the children's name, oh, my bad. Well, part of the children was named Lucy, and she inspired me to write The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I taught an English literature class at Oxford University.
That is wonderful. Very good. Were you friends with any other famous authors?
Yes. John. You know him as J.R.R. Tolkien. I read him a bit of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and he said my characters didn't make sense. Can you believe that? But eventually, he ate his words.
He ate his words. We're glad his words didn't stop you from writing again one day.
Yep.
What are some of your biggest accomplishments?
Writing the award-winning series, The Chronicles of Narnia. And my radio program during the war.
Excellent. Thank you, as we all still very much enjoy your books today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Cheerio.
for being with us today. Now we welcome Ms. Florence Nightingale. What made you decide to become a nurse?
When I was around 17 years old, I felt God spoke to me and called me to a service. I felt, as a child, I always enjoyed taking care of my pets and nursing them back to health whenever they became ill or injured. I felt like taking care of God's children would be a great way to serve Him.
Sounds like God was preparing your heart for a life of service at a young age. What would you say was your biggest accomplishment as a nurse?
I would say my research to improve sanitary conditions for the wounded soldiers. These improved skills became used in hospitals all around the world. This is how I became known as the first nurse.
Wow, that's excellent. Why were you known as the lady with the lamp?
I was known as the lady with the lamp because each night I would hold my lamp doing rounds around the ward hospital, making sure all the soldiers were okay.
Wow, what care and compassion you had for others. What made you like nursing so much?
I like caring for people. As a child, I would visit the homeless and the poor.
Wow, thank you for your selfless care and your servant's heart to countless lives. Thank you for coming on our show today.
Let's welcome Miss Molly Brown to the stage. Miss Brown, why did you board the RMS Titanic?
I boarded the RMS Titanic because my grandson fell very ill. I was in Paris, France, visiting my daughter when I got the horrible news. So I immediately booked a first-class ticket on the RMS Titanic, which, unbeknownst to me, would change my life forever. I boarded the ship when it was docked in France, picking up passengers on its way to New York City in America.
I'm sorry to hear about your grandson's illness. Well, how did you get from such humble beginnings to become a wealthy woman?
In 1893, Ibex Mining Company discovered gold under my husband J.J. Brown's leadership.
As a result, my husband became part owner of the company, and we became multi-millionaires overnight. It was an interesting experience.
That was an interesting experience. Well, what are you most proud of accomplishing in your life?
I'm proud of many things, but most importantly, I'm proud of helping those less fortunate than myself. For example, when the RMS Carpathia rescued us when the Titanic sank to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, I helped raise $10,000, which would be $337,000 in today's currency, for second and third class survivors by the time we reached New York City.
Well, that was a traumatic experience, but thank you for helping the survivors who were less fortunate than you. Why do you think people will remember your name?
Because I refused to stay still and silent. I was different and kept progressing forward no matter the circumstance. I was never afraid to be myself in a time where women especially were held back from making a difference.
Well, thank you for being authentic and helping those that were unfortunate. And we're so glad you could join us today. And now we'd like to welcome Mr. Thomas Edison. Mr. Edison, did you know or work with any other historical figures?
Yes, Henry Ford and Nikola Tesla are both employees of mine. I encouraged Ford to move forward with the gas-powered car and stayed friends for decades. Nikola Tesla and I were not friends. We had a bitter rivalry against each other that was described as the War of Currents.
Well, I'm sure those friendships and rivalries helped you with your improvements and advancement of your other inventions. But what would you say was your biggest contribution to society?
My biggest contribution to society is the electric light bulb. Right behind that, I established the first industrial research laboratory in many U.S. cities.
Well, thank you for doing that. How did you learn to use the telegraph?
I saved the station master's son from being hit by a train, and to thank me, he taught me how to use the telegraph. And I became very good at Morse code.
Sounds like you became very proficient in Morse code. How did your childhood influence your later life?
I did not have much formal schooling because my mother pulled me out to homeschool me.
Where was your first lab?
I built my first lab in my basement when I was 7. My mom encouraged me even when there were weird smells and accidents in my lab.
Sounds like she was very understanding and a supportive mother. Thank you for coming today to share your story with us. And now we have Mr. Orville Wright. Mr. Wright, did you like school?
No, I did not like school because I wanted to build mechanical things like airplanes. I liked reading about building different things.
Very, very good. Very good. Did you own any businesses?
Yes, I own the Wright and Wright printers, the Wright cycle company for bicycle repairs, the Wright company to manufacture airplanes, and a private laboratory to continue more
Wow,
designs.
you were very industrious. Did you work with anyone else?
Yes, I worked with my brother Wilbur Wright. Together we came up with how to fly airplanes through multiple tests.
Well, that teamwork helped us to, you guys to do some great things. Did you win any awards?
Yes, I won the Congressional Reward, Langley Gold Medal, Albert Medal, and several more.
Wow, we're very grateful for all those things you did, and thank you for being a part of our show today.
We now welcome Mr. Leonardo da Vinci to our show. Who are you and when were you born?
I am Leonardo da Vinci, which means Leonardo from Vinci. I was born on April 15th, 1452, on 10:30 a.m. in Enchango, which is a small town about 3 kilometers from Vinci, Italy, where I grew up.
Excellent. Can you tell us about your family?
Yes, I can. My parents were not married. My dad was Sir Piero da Vinci. He was a wealthy, respected gentleman. My mom was Katerina, a 15-year-old orphan. My uncle was the only one that really liked me.
Oh, that's so sad to hear. Did you go to school?
No, I did not go to school, but my dad took me to Andrea del Furiato studio when I was 14. While I was there, I made many sculptures and paintings. I stayed there for 13 years.
Wow, that's a long time. What are some of your accomplishments?
My most famous painting is the Mona Lisa. She looks like she's looking at you wherever you go. I did 30 illegal dissections of human bodies to bridge the gap between art and science. I designed a robot that can move its arms and legs, an armored car, a giant crossbow, a war machine, paint the Last Supper, and many more. When I painted the Last Supper, I experimented with paint, which made the paint flake off after about 20 years.
Wow. Well, we thank you and enjoy your famous sculptures and paintings today. Thanks for joining us. We now welcome Miss Harriet Tubman. Ms. Tubman, can you tell us more about your name and the meaning behind it?
I am Harriet Tubman, but my real name is Araminta Ross. People called me Minty as a child. Later, I changed my name to Harriet to honor my mother and begin my new life in freedom.
That's wonderful. What is the Underground Railroad?
The Underground Railroad is not a real train. It is a secret path of safe houses that help people escape slavery. I was a conductor who guided them to freedom.
You were incredibly brave and courageous. Did anything happen to you when you were young?
Yes, when I was a young girl, an overseer threw a heavy brick at another enslaved person, but it hit me in the head instead. I was hurt very badly and had headaches and fainting spells for the rest of my life.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrible. What is something important you once said?
I once said, I never ran my train off the track and I never lost a passenger. That means that I stayed strong and helped everyone I could reach freedom safely. I helped about 70 people escape because I could not leave my people behind.
Wow, thank you so much for saving so many lives and leading them bravely to freedom. Thank you for coming on our show today. Now we welcome Miss Martha Washington. Where were you born?
I was born on my parents' plantation farm, Eppington Forest, near Lively, Virginia, in 1731.
And how many siblings did you have?
I had 7 siblings, 4 sisters and 3 brothers. I was the oldest of all 8.
Very good. What was your biggest accomplishment?
I'm best known for being the first Lady of the United States and writing many presidents for future First Ladies, and I supported George through his president.
Very good. You were an excellent supporter of your husband. How many children did you have with George Washington?
I had 0 children with George, but 4 children with my first husband.
Thank you so much for your service to our country as the First Lady and being on our show today.
Next, we'd like to welcome the great Bambino himself, Mr. Babe Ruth. Mr. Ruth, where were you born?
I was born on February 6, 1895 in Baltimore, Maryland.
And where did you go to school?
I went to St. Mary's Industrial School for runaways, troublemakers, and orphans.
And when did you join the Red Sox?
I joined the Red Sox on July 11th, 1914 after playing for the Orioles, who just tripled my salary to $1,800.
Wow. And who did you marry?
I married Helen Woodford on October 17th, 1914. Helen was shy. We had a daughter named Dorothy.
Well, and you had quite the inspiring career. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Next, we'd like to welcome Miss Rosa Parks.
Miss Parks, can you tell me what you're most famous for?
On December 1st, 1955, I refused to give up my seat on an Alabama bus to a white person because I was arrested for that. This sparked the Monterey bus boycott, leading to desegregation of public transportation.
Wow, you were really brave. That must have taken a lot to do that. And did you ever get a job, and what was it?
Yes, I worked at the NAACP as a branch secretary and leading the youth council help end segregation.
Did you get married?
Yes, I married Raymond Parker on December 8th, 1932.
And when did you die?
I died on October 4th, 2004 at the age 92 in my home to natural causes in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow, thank you so much for your contributions for equal rights. You really made a difference. And thank you for being here today.
We now welcome Mr. Albert Einstein. What was school like for you?
It was all fine until I was 10. The high school I went to was really strict, and students had to march like soldiers from class to class, and soldiers made me very scared.
I'm sure that sounds scary and intimidating. Did you go to college? What were your favorite subjects?
Yes, I went to college in Zurich, Switzerland. I loved science and math, especially physics.
That's right, I see. Did you move to any other countries besides Switzerland?
I sure did. I moved back to Germany and later to the U.S. because of the war. I became a U.S. citizen and lived out my life there.
Very good. Thanks for sharing that. Can you tell me about your scientific theories?
I'm most known for my theories of general and special relativity. General relativity was verified with the orbit of Mercury. Special relativity led to one of my most famous equations, E equals mc squared.
Yes, can you turn around for us so we can see that on your back there? Awesome, thank you. Very impressive. Thank you for your contributions to science and physics. We now welcome Ms. Clara Barton to our show. What jobs did you have, Clara?
I was a teacher that did summer school and a nurse during the Civil War.
Excellent. Who did you help on the battlefield, and what was your nickname?
I helped the North and the South with their injuries. I was named the Angel of the Battlefield.
That's right. What bravery and compassion you had. What important organization did you establish?
In 1881, I founded the American Red Cross and led it for 23 years.
What a wonderful contribution. Why did you create the American Red Cross?
I created the American Red Cross to help other people and so they can serve their community too.
Wow, thank you for being such an inspiration and dedicating your life to serving others. We appreciate you.
Welcome to the stage, Mr. Brooks Robinson. When did you start playing baseball, Mr. Robinson?
I started playing baseball as a kid. I've practiced all the time at home and on my Little League team.
Wow, you must have gained some great skills with all that practice. What do you think was your greatest accomplishment?
Winning 16 Gold Glove awards.
Wow, congratulations on winning such a prestigious award on so many occasions. Can you tell us about your nickname?
I was called the Hot Corner because I was really good at playing third base, and I was also called the Human Vacuum Cleaner because I never let a ball get past me.
Wow, that's some track record. Are you in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I was elected in the Hall of Fame in 1983 because I was considered the greatest third baseman of all time.
Wow, well, thank you for your contributions to your team and the baseball as a sport. We really enjoyed having you here on our show today. Let's welcome next Mr. Babbage. Hello, sir. Tell us, who are you? Give us your name.
My name is Charles Babbage. I was born in England during the 1800s. I spent my life studying math and working on new ideas and inventions.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Why are you important?
I am often called the father of the computer. I spent my life studying math and working on new ideas and inventions.
Wow, that's a great accomplishment. If you invented the computer, does that mean you're good at math?
Yes, I enjoy math, but I don't want to do it all day. That's why I invented a machine to do it for me. You might say I use the computer to do my homework.
That's pretty awesome. What is something surprising about you?
A surprising fact is that half of my brain is preserved in a museum in London today. Scientists study my brain to see how great thinkers' minds work. I suppose my brain is still a part of history.
Wow, well, thank you for your contribution, developing those ideas that led to our modern-day computers. It's been a pleasure having you on our show today. Next, we have Mr. Theodore Roosevelt. Mr. Roosevelt, what was your childhood like?
I was sickly as a young boy, so I was homeschooled at first. I like studying nature and read books. It was hard for me to see until I got glasses at age 13. At 18, I went to Harvard to study history and speaking.
Very good. You overcame some hardships, and arriving at Harvard was an outstanding accomplishment. What are you famous for?
I was vice president for President McKinley. When he died in September 1901, I became president. I was president until March 1909.
Well, thank you for stepping in and leading our country in that, after that terrible tragedy. What was something that you did as president?
As president, I helped settle the strike of Pennsylvania coal miners. It's what I like to call the square deal for the country. I also helped begin the Panama Canal projects.
Well, those were major accomplishments for our country. What are you proud of doing?
I am proud of the things I did for nature, like building 53 bird sanctuaries. I am also proud of being the father of Alice Roosevelt and Clinton Roosevelt.
Wow, it's obvious that your family and nature are very near and dear to your heart. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
We now welcome to our show Mr. Paul Revere. Welcome, Mr. Revere. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
I was born in 1735. I lived in Boston. My father was a blacksmith, and I turned 22 when I was 19.
Wow, that's wonderful. What did you do before you became famous?
Before I became famous, I was a blacksmith, made engravings, and even served as a soldier in the French and Indian War.
We thank you for your service. Tell us about your famous ride.
Oh yes, my midnight ride. I rode my horse to warn my friends that the British were coming. I had to be very quiet so I wouldn't get caught, so I probably didn't yell the British were coming like in the stories.
Sure, that's understandable. Very wise and brave on your part. That sounds dangerous. Were you scared?
Yes, but the British even captured me at one point, but I knew it was important to help warn my friends, so I kept going as long as I could. I didn't know I would be a hero. I just wanted to help my new country.
How scary. Glad you were able to persevere, and thank you for serving our country during this time and being on our show today. We now welcome Mr. Milton Hershey. How many different schools did you attend?
I attended 7 different schools in my life before I stopped schooling at the age of 15 to start working.
Wow. When did you create the Hershey Chocolate Factory?
I created the Hershey Chocolate Factory in 1905.
Excellent. Why did you build the factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania?
I created the Hershey Chocolate Factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania because it was close to our making milk for our milk chocolate.
That makes perfect sense. What do you consider your biggest accomplishment?
The Hershey School that provides education to all children.
That's a wonderful accomplishment, as well as the chocolate factory that we all very much enjoy today. Thank you for visiting with us.
And next, let's welcome President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Mr. President, what was your childhood like?
I had a lot of brothers, but not a lot of money growing up.
And did you fight in any wars?
Yes, I fought in World War I and World War II.
Wow, thank you so much for your service, Mr. President. And when did you become president?
I became the 34th president on January 20th, 1961.
And what was one of your major accomplishments as president?
I directed the construction of the interstate highway system.
Well, you did so much for our country. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. And next we'll welcome Elizabeth Prentice. And Miss Prentice, what was your childhood like?
I was born in Maine in 1818. I got sick a lot when I was little. When my dad died, my family was very sad. It was a hard time for me.
How tragic. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. When did you start liking writing?
I liked writing when I was young. I wrote lots of letters to my sister and people really liked them. I also started writing poems and stories.
And what was the saddest time in your life?
The saddest time was when two of my children, Eddie and Bessie, died in 1852. It made me feel very heartbroken and I missed them a lot.
Wow, you experienced a lot of heartache, but even despite all that, could you tell me what you're known for today?
I am known for writing books and hymns. My mother told me when I was younger that my writing is a gift from God. One of my famous hymns is More Love to Thee, and my book, Stepping Heavenward, helped many people. More Love to Thee is known in churches. It is even in my church hymn book. I get lots of letters from many people who are encouraged by my book.
Wow, what an incredible testimony you have. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Now we have Miss Joan of Arc. Miss Arc, when were you born?
I was born January 6, 1412 in Domremy, France, to Jacques and Isabelle Dioc.
Did anything happen to you in your teens?
When I was 16, I was given a mission by God that I need to tell Charles the Dauphin that he will be crowned the next king of France.
Wow, I'm sure that was a difficult mission at such a young age. How did your mission turn out?
We were successful. I led the French soldiers with God's direction into many victorious battles against the British soldiers as we were taking Charles the Dauphin to Reims to be crowned the King of France.
Wow, what a victory and what an honor to stand beside the king as he's being crowned. How did you die?
In 1430, I was given permission by the King of France to go on one more mission to capture a French town back from the British soldiers. While there, I was captured by a British soldier, then sold to the English king for 10,000 francs. They put me on trial from February 21st through May 23rd, 1431. They accused me of working for the devil, magic, and for wearing boys' clothing, and I was found guilty. On May 30th, 1431, I was burned alive at the stake.
What a tragic ending for such a brave warrior for France. Well, thank you for spending time on our show today. Next we have Miss Louisa May Alcott. Miss Alcott, did you like school?
My heavens, no. My dad did not believe in traditional schools for young girls. My 3 sisters and I were taught at home.
Well, I'm sure you enjoyed learning at home. What was the most exciting moment in your life?
The most exciting moment of my life. In the beginning, I did not want to write girls' books. I had to earn money to support my family. Once
How did you feel when
my book was a hit, I was so happy and excited.
Very good. We've enjoyed your books through the years. What was so exciting about writing a book?
I began writing plays and stories when I was a young girl. I had many jobs. I was a teacher, a nurse in the Civil War, and a seamstress. I was very happy to become known Little Women in books.
What a busy life you must have had during all those jobs. Is it true that The Little Women is a story about your life?
Yes, Little Women is about my life. The Jo March character was all about myself. My sisters, Elizabeth, Anna, and May, brought Meg, Beth, and Amy to life. We were very poor, and my sisters and I had to work very hard. We always found ways to have fun together. Our house was called the Orchard House.
Very good. I'm glad you were able to share your life with us and how you brought those characters to life. Thank you for coming to our show today.
Hello, America.
We welcome President Abraham Lincoln. What did you do before you became president?
I was a lawyer for 20 years in the state of Illinois.
Wow, that's great. What are you most proud of in your presidency?
When we signed the Emancipation and Proclamation, and then all the slaves in the country were free.
Right, all the slaves became free. We can see why this would be your proudest moment. How did you feel when the Civil War broke out?
I was heartbroken. I just wanted a nation to come together instead of seeing soldiers die.
Absolutely, sure. We share those sentiments. Why did you write the Gettysburg Address?
It was important to me to go and honor the soldiers who fought and died in the Battle of Gettysburg, but let everyone know the freedom we are fighting for.
Thank you for serving our country and honoring our brave soldiers. President Lincoln, we thank you.
Let's welcome Mr. Jackie Robinson. Did you play any sports besides baseball?
Yes, I ran track and played basketball and football.
Wow, you certainly were a well-rounded athlete. Did you start out in baseball in the major leagues?
No, I started in the Negro League
And why was that?
because white people didn't want to play with black people on the same team.
Were you active in civil rights?
Yes, I was active in civil rights.
Well, thank you for pushing these barriers and paving the way for others. When did you begin playing in the Major League Baseball?
I was drafted in 1947 for the Brooklyn Dodgers so I could break the color barrier so other black players could play with white people.
Very good. It's been wonderful having you here today. We appreciate your contribution to baseball. And now we have Miss Dolly Madison. Miss Madison, who was your husband?
My husband was John Todd, but he and my son died from yellow fever. My second husband was James Madison, who later became the 4th President of the United States.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your husband and son's death, but as First Lady, what did you do?
As First Lady, I help people feel welcome to the White House and be comfortable working together.
Well, thank you for creating such a welcoming atmosphere. What brave thing did you do during the War of 1812?
When the British came to burn the White House, I saved a very important portrait of George Washington so it would not be destroyed. And this is something similar to it.
Very good. Thank you for bringing that today and for saving that important piece of history. What do people remember you for?
Today, people remember me for being a brave and kind First Lady and saving important history.
Very good. We appreciate your gentle and courageous spirit. We're so glad you were here with us today on our show.
We now welcome Sacagawea. What was your early life like?
I was born in 1784 in what is now Idaho. In 1799, I was captured by another tribe known as the Hidatsa. I only lived with them for a short period of time before I got married.
Very good. How old were you when you got married, and to whom?
I was 15 years old when I got married. My husband's name was Toussaint Charbonneau. He was a French fur trader.
I see. And what historical expedition were you and your husband a part of?
We were part of the Lewis and Clark expedition, which was exploring the Louisiana Purchase. We acted as interpreters to any Native American tribes which we met and also pointed out landmarks along the route. I had my first son, John Baptiste, at the start of the expedition, and I carried him for the whole journey.
Wow, I can't imagine how difficult it must have been having a little one on this journey. We appreciate how you served as an interpreter and a guide. Are there any landmarks named after you and your son?
The Sacagawea River is named after me, and Pompey's Pillar 200-foot rock formation after my son.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story and being with us today, Sacagawea. We now welcome Miss Mary Pickersgill. Where did you learn the craft of flag making?
My mother was a flag maker in Philadelphia where I grew up. She taught me everything I know about the trade.
Wow, that's wonderful. What led you to move to Baltimore in 1805?
I married John Pickersgill when I was 19. Sadly, he died shortly after we were married. I moved to Baltimore with my mother and daughter to start a new life.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I guess your new start led to your flag making company. What is the biggest flag you have made?
The biggest? In 1813, Major George Armistead from Fort McHenry contacted me and hired us to make 2 flags. The largest was the Garrison flag, which was 30 by 42 feet. One star was 24 inches tall.
Wow, very impressive. Why did Major Armistead want such a large flag?
This was during the War of 1812, and he wanted the British to see it from miles away as a symbol of American defiance and security.
That makes sense. Thank you for sharing your skill and experience in making the American flag a symbol of freedom and strength. And now we welcome Miss Elizabeth Blackwell. What inspired you to pursue medicine?
I had a sick friend that told me before she died that she would have suffered less if she had a female doctor.
That's understandable. I'm very sorry for your loss. How many medical schools rejected you before you were accepted into Geneva Medical College in New York?
Over 20 schools rejected me because I was a woman. They let the men vote at Geneva, and they said yes as a joke as accepting me. I guess the joke's on them.
Wow, I agree. The joke is certainly on them. So glad you persevered. Even with the mistreatment by the students, staff, and patients, were you able to graduate?
Yes, in 1849, I became the first woman to graduate from the U.S. Medical College with my MD.
Wow, that's very impressive and such an incredible achievement. Is it true that your sister followed in your footsteps and became a doctor as well?
Yes, we were able to open the first clinic for women and children in New York City where you could receive care by female doctors.
Wow, thank you for caring for women and children and being such an important advocate for their health care.
I'd like to welcome Miss Anne Frank. Miss Frank, when were you born?
I was born on June 12, 1929 in Frankfurt, Germany. I had to move when I was 4.5 years old.
What's your most prized possession?
When I was 13, I was given a diary. I wrote in it every single day. I named it Kitty because it became like a friend. My dream was to have it published one day.
And how exciting that it actually was. And what was it like in hiding?
We had to be really quiet. We had to eat food that was given to us.
I'm sure you were lonely and missed being able to play outside. I can't imagine how hard that was. After you were found by the Nazis, what was it like being taken to a concentration camp?
I was scared and alone. They shaved my head and took my clothes. I became so ill that I passed away.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but thank you for being with us and sharing your story. Next, we'll welcome Christopher Columbus. Mr. Columbus, when and where were you born?
I was born Cristoforo Colombo in 1451, Genoa, Italy. Later, my name was changed to the English version Christopher Columbus.
I see. And where did you go to school?
I was mostly self-educated in geography, astronomy, and history. I read and learned on my own.
Wow, that is very impressive. What were you famous for?
I am known for my journey to the west in August of 1492, where my 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Mariana, landed in the Americas in October of 1492.
Wow, that must have been quite the journey. And when, where, and why did you die?
May 20th, 1506, at either 54 or 55 years old with complications of Rider syndrome, which is a tropical infection I picked up during one of my voyages. Valladolid, Spain is where I died.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. Next, we'll welcome Squanto. Squanto, when were you born?
I was born in 1585 in the Baltic tribe. The area is now known as Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
And how did you go about learning to speak English?
I was taken by English explorers and sold as a slave in Europe. I learned the language before returning home.
Wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And what happened when you returned to your village?
When I returned to my village, many of my people had died from smallpox. I joined a nearby tribe called the Wampanoag.
And how did you help the pilgrims?
I taught them how to plant corn, catch fish, survive on land, and make worm houses.
Wow, I know you played a major role in their survival. Thank you for that, and thank you for being here with us today. And up next, we'd like to welcome Pocahontas. And Miss Pocahontas, when and where were you born?
I was born in 1596 in the area known today as Jamestown, Virginia, which was the first permanent settlement in America.
And what's the meaning behind your name?
Pocahontas is actually my nickname, which translates to mischievous or playful one. It was given to me because of my lively and curious nature.
I love that. It was said that you saved someone's life. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
My father, Chief Powhatan, ordered the capture of colonial leader John Smith. As he was about to be clubbed with a stone, I threw myself over him. I had made many friends with the settlers and didn't want him to be killed.
Wow, that is extremely brave of you. Did you ever get to leave America?
Yes. After I was married to John Wolfe and had our son Thomas, I traveled to England with my family to meet King James.
Wow, that is quite the journey. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Let's welcome to the stage Miss Laura Ingalls Wilder. Miss Wilder, what was your home like?
It was a one-room cabin made out of wood with no electricity or indoor plumbing. It had a fireplace to keep us warm.
Yeah, that made you a very resourceful family. What was school like for you?
There was one teacher to teach all of the grades. We had a wood stove in the middle of the room. We used slates for writing because paper was so expensive. Teachers used a bell to call in kids from recess and taught using blackboards.
Wow, much different than today. How many books did you write?
I wrote 9 books about my family and me. One was about my husband as a boy. I wrote about my chores, school, and problems that happened living in a farming community.
Wow, sounds like a challenging but rewarding life for you. Why was your husband's nickname Manly?
I nicknamed him that because he saved people in a severe winter with relentless blizzards. He brought food to the people who were trapped in their houses.
Wow, what a brave and generous man he must have been. Thank you for sharing your life and history through your books with us. We've enjoyed having you today. Next, I'd like to welcome Mr. Henry Ford. Mr. Ford, when were you born?
I was born July 30th, 1863, on my family's farm in Dearborn, Michigan. I was the oldest out of 8 children. My father took me to Detroit, and that's when I saw my first steam engine. My mother died when I was 12. I was very sad. The house was like a watch without its mainspring.
I'm sorry to hear about your mother. Did you like working on the farm?
No, not much, but I did help. I liked taking watches apart and putting them back together. I liked learning how things work.
You must have been very curious. What was the first car that the Ford Motor Company made?
The first car the Ford Motor Company made was the Model A. It had a seat for 2. We wanted to make more cars that people could afford.
Wow, that was a great accomplishment. Did you ever create a more affordable car that everyone could afford?
We made that a reality by creating the Model T. We changed the whole process of manufacture. We used an assembly line and made making cars faster.
Wow, well, thank you for your contribution to manufacturing and industry. We're so glad you joined us today. And next we have Mr. Charlie Kirk. Mr. Kirk, can you tell us about your childhood?
I was born in Arlington Heights on October 14th, 1993. I was an Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. During high school, I volunteered in political campaigns. I even organized a school protest against cost increase on cookies in the lunchroom.
Wow. What was the first business that you started?
I started Turning Point USA, or TPUSA, out of my garage in 2012 after dropping out of college within my first year.
Who helped you start the business?
My father and businessman Bill Montgomery helped me start Turning Point USA.
Very good. They must have been very supportive. How did you become famous?
I first became famous for campus debating. I would go to college campuses and debate students on different opinions on politics, religion, and society as a whole. I believed in free markets and limited government. I tried to make sure other Christians and conservatives felt comfortable talking about their opinions and beliefs in public.
Well, thank you for giving them a platform to share. How did you die?
While on a college campus for a debate, I was assassinated. I wanted to be remembered for my faith above all else.
What a tragic ending for someone with such faith and determination to influence the next generation. Thank you for being with us today. Next we have Martha Jefferson. Miss Jefferson, did you have any children?
Yes, I had 6 children, but 3 lived.
And their names were?
Their names were Martha, Mary, and Lucy Elizabeth.
Very good. What happened to your son? Your one boy that you had.
Oh, I had 2 girls and 1 boy that passed away.
They passed away. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that.
In infancy.
Who was your husband after that, or after those passed away? Who was your husband?
My husband was Thomas Jefferson. He wrote the Declaration of Independence.
You must have been a great support in his political career. Was he your first husband?
No. I was previously married to Bathurst Skellington and had a son named John. Bathurst passed away when John was 1.
How did you meet Mr. Jefferson?
I met Jefferson from attending dinner parties.
Very good.
And fell in love once I was a widow.
Wow, that's nice. Did you live a long life?
No. I died at the young age of 33 on September 6, 1782.
Very good. Thank you for contributing during the founding years of our country. We've enjoyed having you on our show today. Next, we have Miss Corey Tenboom. Ms. Tenboom, what was the most life-changing event you have ever experienced?
When the Nazis invaded Holland and my family and I decided to help hide Jewish people until they could escape to safety. We hid them in a secret room in our house.
That must have been a very dangerous thing to do. Weren't you afraid of getting caught?
I had faith in God that He'd protect us no matter what, and we did eventually get caught and we were sent to prison camps.
That's terrible. What was life like in the prison camp?
Life was terrifying and very difficult. There was little food, lots of hard work, and the bunkhouses that we slept in were very crowded. But I made the best out of the terrible situation by sharing the gospel and spending time in prayer. I remembered the goodness of God, even in the worst of times. I was even thankful for the fleas because they kept the guards out of bunkhouses so we could worship the Lord in secret.
Well, thank you for making a difference during that awful time. Did you and your family get released from the prison camp?
My father and sister both died in the prison camps, but due to a paperwork mistake, my life was spared. Afterwards, I wrote books to share my story. I shared the message of hope and forgiveness the gospel has to offer. My family and I helped save over 700 people during the Holocaust.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear about your sister and father, but what a blessing you have been spreading hope and forgiveness. Thank you for being here today. And now we have Miss Eleanor Roosevelt. Miss Roosevelt, what kind of person were you?
I was incredibly kind, wonderfully brave, and always lended a helping hand.
What great qualities to have. What did you believe about people?
I strongly believe that everyone should be treated fairly with dignity and respect.
Very good. What do people still remember you today?
I sure did hope I would be remembered. I helped all around the world by speaking up for people and speaking up for things that when things were unfair.
Very good. Thank you for standing up for justice and helping those who were unable to speak for themselves. Did you ever have your own radio show? And what did you talk about?
Yes, I had my own radio show in the 1930s called The Radio Show. And I talked about people, fairness, and everyday problems families were facing.
Well, thank you for being a voice of hope and kindness and courage. You will not be forgotten. And thank you for participating in our show today.
All right, next we'd like to welcome to the stage President George Washington. And Mr. Washington, can you tell us when and where you were born?
I was born on a farm in Virginia called Mount Vernon in 1732. My parents' names were Augustine and Mary Bell Washington.
And what was your first job?
My father died when I was 11, so I stopped school to help my family. Other than working on the family farm, I got my first job as a land surveyor at age 17.
Wow, you must have been a really hard worker. What wars did you fight in?
I fought as a soldier in the French and Indian War. I also led the colonial army to victory against the British in the Revolutionary War.
Wow, I see. And what did you do after the Revolutionary War?
I was elected to be the first president of the United States. I made sure not to be called king and came up with president instead. I got to set an example for other presidents after me.
You sure did. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And next we'll welcome President John F. Kennedy.
Hello, fellow Americans.
President Kennedy, can you tell me where and when you were born and what was your family like growing up?
I was born on May 29th, 1917 in Brooklyn, Massachusetts. Grown up in a big, busy family with 8 brothers and sisters, and my family served many people.
Wow, that does sound very busy. And how did you serve your country before you became president?
I was in the United States Navy during World War II. My boat was sunk by an enemy ship, and I helped save my crew. After that, I became a congressman and a senator before becoming president.
Wow, thank you so much for that service to our country. You're remembered for a very famous quote. What exactly did you ask the American people?
I said, "Ask not what your country could do for you, ask what you could do for your country."
Yeah, that is very famous. I know we're all very familiar with that. How did your life come to an end and where were you?
I was shot while riding on November 22nd, 1963, while riding a car through Dallas, Texas. I was 46 years old. It was a very sad day for our country, but everybody remembered me and the great things that I did.
Wow, that is very tragic, but you're definitely remembered for your contributions to our country, so thank you so much for being here with us today. And next we'll welcome Abigail Adams. And Miss Adams, when were you born?
My name is Abigail Adams. I was born in Linemouth, Massachusetts on November 23rd, 1744. To the late Reverend William Smith and Elizabeth Quincy Smith.
And did you like school?
I was one of 4 children, and we were self-educated, meaning I did not attend school. I learned to read and write on my own with my father's elaborate library.
Wow, that is very impressive. You must have worked very hard. And did you marry and have any children?
When I was 19, I married John Adams on October 25th, 1764. We had 6 children together: Abigail Nabby, John Quincy, who became the 6th president, Susanna, who died after 1 year of age, Charles Thomas, and Elizabeth, who was stillborn.
Wow, what are you most known for?
John and I spent many years apart when he was the 2nd president. I wrote over 2,000 letters to him while he was away, and I was home raising our children.
Wow, you were quite the amazing wife and mother. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Next, we'll welcome Miss Eliza Hamilton. Miss Hamilton, when were you born?
I was born in New York in 1757, and my dad was a major general in the Colonial Army.
And did you like your dad being a general in the Army?
Yes, I loved to travel with my dad. I even met Benjamin Franklin on one of our trips.
Wow, that is really neat. When did you marry Alexander Hamilton?
In 1780, we were engaged, then married not long after. We had 8 children together.
And what was so special about you and Alexander Hamilton?
He was chosen to be the first Secretary of the Treasury for George Washington. Sadly, in 1804, he was killed in a duel, but I went on to help start an orphanage for 27 years.
Wow, that is wonderful work that you did. Thank you for sharing all that with us today. Next, we'd like to welcome Mr. Neil Armstrong. Mr. Armstrong, what experiences and training did you have that helped you become an astronaut?
I was an Eagle Scout. I went to college and got 2 degrees, flew planes in the U.S. Navy, served as a pilot in the Korean War, and was later a test pilot for the U.S. Air Force.
Wow, thank you so much for your service to our country. What will people remember most about you?
I became the first person to walk on the moon on July 21st, 1969, during the Apollo 11 lunar landing mission, stepping on the moon first with my left foot.
Wow, that is very exciting. Did walking on the moon leave you speechless?
Actually, no. I made that comment that became the famous quote, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
You sure did. And did you ever walk on the moon a second time after the Apollo 11 mission?
I decided to never fly in space again and instead became a manager at NASA and a college professor.
Well, yeah, I know we will always remember how amazing that first step onto the moon was. Thank you so much for being here and sharing it with us today.
Now we welcome Miss Amelia Earhart to our show. What made you want to become a pilot?
I became interested in flying after my first airplane ride. I felt like it was something that God was calling me to do.
I love that you listened and responded to God's call in your life. What was your biggest accomplishment?
One of my biggest accomplishments was flying alone across the Atlantic Ocean. It was a long and difficult trip. I was 18,415 feet in the air.
Wow, cannot imagine that long journey. Did you face any challenges while flying?
Yes, I faced strong winds and storms. Sometimes things were scary, but I stayed brave and put my faith in God.
I'm sure you felt God carrying you through those scary storms. How did your faith help you in your life?
My faith reminded me that God is always with me, even through hard times, just like it says in Joshua 1:9. I believe God gave me good talent, and I wanted to use it well.
Wow, thank you for your obedience to God's call on your life and using your talents for His glory. We now welcome President Andrew Jackson. What was your childhood like?
I had a very hard childhood. My father died before I was born, and I lived on the frontier with my mother and siblings. Frontier life was not only hard work, but we lived in constant danger of the elements and, of course, attacks from the Indian tribes.
Sounds like very troubling times indeed. What impact did the American Revolution have on you?
I was just a kid, and I served as an American Scout. My brother and I were both captured, and I lost my mother and my brother. It created a great dislike for the British and me.
That's understandable. We're sorry for your great loss. How did you become famous?
I became famous for my military service in the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812. I led a masterful battle, losing only a few Americans and defeating many British. This is how I was known as a possible president.
Yes, we thank you for your leadership. What are you most proud of about your presidency?
I am most proud of the fact that I was known as the first common man to become president. And during my presidency, I fought for the common man.
I fought for the frontiersmen when I removed the Indians. I fought against the big banks in favor of the people, and I kept the Union together when South Carolina threatened to secede.
Wow, thank you for your wonderful service to our country and leadership during the War of 1812. And now we welcome to our show T.E. Lawrence. Where were you born and what was your childhood like?
I was born in Wales in 1888, but I didn't stay in one place for long. My family moved often, so I grew up in different places like France, Ireland, and England. Because of that, I learned a lot about different languages and cultures at a young age.
That's wonderful exposure as a young child. Where did you go to school and what did you study?
I studied history at Oxford University, especially castles and ancient places. But I didn't just read about history, I went exploring. I traveled to the Middle East, learned Arabic, and even worked on archaeological digs. You could say I liked to get my hands a little dirty.
What impactful experiences you must have had. How did your knowledge of the Middle East help during World War I?
When World War I began, I joined the British Army and was sent to Egypt. Because I knew about the Middle East, I helped the British work with the Arab leaders. Soon, I wasn't just giving advice, I was right there in the desert working alongside them. We used clever strategies, like I earned the Arab people's trust by speaking their language and living like they did, even wearing their clothing. Because we used clever strategies like attacking trains and bridges to weaken the enemy, the armed Turks.
Yes, you were definitely hands-on, a very great leader. What did you do after the war?
After World War I, I helped the Arab people gain independence from countries like Britain and France. I wasn't completely successful, but I was able to help a few countries like Iraq and Jordan. Because of my involvement in the Middle East, it's no surprise I've been given the nickname Lawrence of Arabia.
We thank you for your contribution and service to the Arabian people in the Middle East and for being on our show today.
Howdy. Let's welcome Miss Annie Oakley. What were you famous for, Miss Oakley?
I was famous for being a sharpshooter. I could hit targets very quickly and accurately, even from far away.
That must have taken a lot of practice, I would imagine. How did you learn to shoot so well?
I learned to shoot as a young girl to help feed my family. I practiced a lot and became very good at it.
Wow, with all of your effort and skill, did you ever perform for people?
Yes, I performed in Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. I amazed crowds by shooting coins, glass balls, and even targets behind my back like this.
Wow, sounds like an amazing life. How did you die?
I was in a bad train accident and was hurt badly. After that, I became very sick with anemia. I stayed weak for a long time and died in 1926 at the age of 66.
Well, thank you for all the entertainment you provided for us and around the world. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you all so much for your support through this project. We know preparing for the Yesterday Show takes a great deal of time, effort, and hard work, and we know that none of it's possible without your guys' support as well. Let's give our amazing third graders just one more round of applause for their hard work and effort. And at this time, we'll be taking a class picture. So we ask for your patience as we get all 56 of them up here lined up to get a picture of them. You're more than welcome to come up and take a picture, but we just ask that you stay behind the first 3 rows because that's how far back you have to stay in order to get all of them in the picture. But we're also more than willing to send it out to anybody who wants it, the pictures that we take. Once the class picture is finished, you may come up to the front, pick up your child if you're taking them with you to leave. Please make sure you sign them out before leaving, and we also kindly ask that guests be off campus by 2:45 so that we can accommodate our dismissal procedures. So thank you all for coming today.